Hey everyone, Ittarra here, bringing you the next part of Warframe 101, the damages. So, when we last left off, we went over just the very basics of the basic, just to give you guys an understanding. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to go into something a lot more complicated here. Well, not really. As you can see, I recorded this back to back. Sorry for the secondary intro and everything else, but I just wanted to make sure that we got this started off on the right foot. Just in case you had to take a break or walk away and everything else. Hey, welcome back and thank you for watching. Thumbs up. Alright. So, what we're going to do here is we're going to go over the individual things. Now, just so you guys know, there are 6 different combinations of elements that we can have here. So, what we're going to do here is we're going to start off with, okay, apparently my mods all disappeared there. That's annoying as shit. We're going to start off with blast damage, which is cold damage, and heat damage, because dry ice effect. That's essentially why it's blast. It's the dry ice effect. Blast damage, in of itself, extremely helpful because it provides a hard knockdown on all enemies. Now, this is best done with a crowd control weapon like the Angstrom. Hang on, let me go ahead and equip that real quick so you guys can see. Angstrom, here we go. Angstrom comes with a base blast damage, but the thing about it is as you can see, its status chance is only 25%. Now, the thing about blast damage is blast damage doesn't follow the rules like most other elements. It's not actually based on when you have something of this nature, when it just says legitimately blast damage, you'll get the blast proc pretty much 6 times out of 10. Depending on what kind of weapon you're using. If you're using the Coal Star, you might as well be getting it every other trigger pull. If that. You know, it could be every trigger pull for all I know, if you have multi-shot on it. But with Blast and everything else, what it does is it causes an extremely hard knockdown. Now, this is most effective against anything that does not have anything tough to deal with. Preferably, anything that has to deal with like fossilized armor, such as ancient disruptors and so on and so forth. As you can see, blast damage right here does 50% more damage. Or boilers, another 50% damage. Now, blast damage in of itself only really works against most types of infested because, again, they're just loose flesh. You know, it's just like, it's just loose stuff. It's all gizzards and stuff like that held on by threads. But I have noticed that it works relatively well against Grineer, because Grineer usually travel in packs, and Blast is a very good thing to actually just knock them all down and just be like, you know what? Sit, boo-boo, sit, brr. Now, that's actually pretty much it for Blast damage, which is kind of shocking when you think about it. You would think that anything that's actually based on it, or a very common element like that, would actually be a lot better off. Now, that's cold damage. So what we're going to do here is we're going to skip right to my favorite, viral damage. Now, viral damage is amazing. It has an amazing effect that anybody inflicted by it will lose 50% of their health immediately. Just done. Now, this is by far the best thing to use overall. In my opinion. In my opinion, viral is one of the best things to use overall because anytime you can have any type of HP by 50% just with a trigger pull is astounding. But it is mostly used against Grineer because Grineer have no shields, they have no real protection or anything like that. They take 75% more damage against viral across the board. So if you want to annihilate some Grineer, bring a Sarn with you or something of that nature. It's like, infinity. That's pretty much what it is. The reason why it's not so good against, it might say that it's good against Corpus, but I've noticed that Corpus don't really suffer from viral as much as they should because of their shield. It's plain and simple, they have a buffer. You have to get through the shield to get to them. Now, I don't believe anything else is actually weak against viral. Well, you know, except for maybe a Kubro, but, you know, why not? Oh, I forgot about these guys. But the thing about these guys is they pretty much follow the same thing as Corpus and so on and so forth. So, you're pretty much standard there. Viral is amazing against any type of Grineer, and if you know you're going to be going against people that just have shit tons of HP and armor, and you want to make your life a little bit easier, bring Viral with you. Cuts it right in half, no matter what it is. Now, On to, let's see here. I'm just going to change that with that. Magnetic. Here we go. All right. Now, magnetic in of itself is the corpus killer. And the reason for that is because it cuts shields by 75%, as well as makes it to where your energy gets drained to zero. Now, if you've ever noticed, now what that means for, let's say, the corpus in general is, I think it's more for the Eximuses. I think it's more for the Xmas. They can't use their powers. They can't use their energy to actually do anything. Or the fusion MOAs that launch the attack drones in the air. I think that's what that energy is used for. But like I said before, magnetic in of itself is just the corpus bane, because of the simple fact that whatever damage you're doing with magnetic is increased by 75%. Yeah, 75%. Every time that you see one of these little green ticks right here, if you see a green tick or green that's +2, that's 50%. 3 is 75, 1 is 25. Same with if it's in the red. If it's in the red, that's -25% for whatever damage that you're dealing, that they're strong against. So that's a very basic thing. Magnetic, I feel, is only great against these enemies. Or Orokin drones in general. Then the reason for that is just solely because of the fact that Orokin drones always have shields, and they give shields. Once an enemy has a shield, then they're pretty much fair game, because that makes them susceptible to whatever shields are weak against. So, magnetic is a pretty decent thing if you're going into the void, or you're going to the moon to harvest corpus. Now, what we're going to do here is onto the next stage. I believe that was actually it for cold. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna do fire, radiation. All right, here we go. Sorry, I keep second guessing on what we're gonna do here. It's nice to see what's gonna pop up, and I can just go off on it. All right, now radiation in of itself. Radiation is a CC heavy thing. What radiation does is it causes the enemy to become less accurate, and causes them to actually fight each other. So if you have, let's say, a Broberon, yes, I really just said that. I apologize if you turn off the video now, but I had to say it because that's what I'm called. But if you have an Oberon that has Smite infusion, or any type of hard status when it causes radiation, if he does it from far enough away, or you are far enough away, the enemy will actually start fighting each other, because that's what radiation does. It causes mass confusion. However, what this means against you is every ability that your friends are using can be used to kill you too. So if you have, let's say, a Sarn, if that Sarn decides to use Miasma or Spore, you feel the effects pretty immediately. And by immediately, you don't know what the hell just happened. You're suddenly on the ground crying for a revive. But radiation, I feel, or I have found, is amazing against Grenier. What is it? There's another one that's weak against it. What the hell was it? No, not them. What is it? Oh, it's anything that's robotic. So Grenier and Corpus. Radiation, you're golden, because, what is it? I don't know why radiation is weak against the robotic signature. I'm guessing it has to deal with, like, corroding their gears or something like that. I'm imagining that's what it is. I'm probably thinking too much into it, but I can't help it, because that's just how it goes sometimes. But against Grenier and Corpus, or machinery, I should say, not Corpus, machinery, radiation is definitely the way to go, because you will end up getting... What the fuck is a Lynx? Oh, okay. You will end up actually getting more damage for your thing, as well as what ends up happening is you'll actually cause fighting to happen, which is always nice. When you can save ammo and actually not worry about what's going to happen to you, that's always nice. Alright, we have 2 more combination elements to go, and I saved pretty much the best for last, as it were. And you might be wondering, what the hell's better than viral? What the hell's better than magnetic? I'll show you what's better than those 2 combined. Alright, so we need toxin damage. Blarg. And, well, that's one of them, but I want to do this one first. And we need electricity. Corrosive damage. This is probably the most utility heavy one that you will actually use against anything that is providing extra bulk. What corrosive does is it permanently reduces all armor by 30% per proc. So if you get hit with this 4 times, you're taking an additional 20% damage. You're taking an additional 120%. My bad. I should have phrased that a little bit better. Because you can go negative armor in this game. Ridiculous, I know. But, what is it? Corrosive is best against these bastards. Ancients. Corrosive will melt them, as well as boilers. But I've also noticed that corrosive works best against Grineer because they have a high armor to begin with. High armor, melt that away with either corrosive projection or corrosion on your weapons, and you're pretty much just kind of cutting through with a hot knife through butter. Now, the one thing I can say about corrosive as a whole is, yes, it's extremely useful, but you have to realize what you're going against. If you know you're going to be going against ancients, if you know you're going to be going against high-level infested, bring that sucker along. There's only one thing that's more effective than against the ancients, or against infested, than that. But if you're going against Grineer, or if you're going into the Void, you might want to bring Corrosive, Viral, and Magnetic or Electricity. You can do whichever. Just make sure that you're coming appropriately equipped. But Corrosive is by far one of the best things when going against anything that has a high amount of armor. If you're seeing yellow barred enemies like Grineer and so on and so forth, bring Corrosion. It starts to melt them really quick. And it's a permanent armor loss, so no matter what happens, they are forever debuffed. And that goes for you too. It's a shame. I know it's a shame, but that's just how it is. Now, the final combined element there is in this game. Let me run over here and I'll show you what the combination is. We saw it before. Bonus points for you if you can remember what it was, because I sure as hell can't. Please tell me I got it right. Yes, I got it right. Bonus points for me. Gas damage. Now, gas damage is actually relatively interesting. It took me so long to figure out what the hell this actually was. Gas damage is literally a poison cloud. It is a toxic AoE. So what that means is if you infect somebody with gas, not only does it inflate them like from Dig Dug. I'm going real retro here with that one. Not only does it inflate them and actually does more damage, but anything that gets close to it gets infected with gas, and it just becomes this. It's like a mini spore from Sarn. That's essentially as I can pretty much explain it properly. Now, gas is against anything infested. Again, another thing. If it's infested, it's pretty much weak to gas, fire, and corrosion. Those are pretty much your best bets. But something I've always noticed about gas that was pretty interesting to say the least is it's great against Corpus as well. Even though it says it resists it, but because it's a toxin AoE, the toxin damage actually overpowers it and gives gas an extra boost that it needs. Now, the one thing I can say about gas in general is the best weapon for it is the Torrid. And the reason for that is because the Torrid fires seeds that produce a cloud. And Torrid is the only weapon that I know that you can actually get gas and electricity on without having to waste too much chance. Now, what this means is with this type of setup right here, I have a cloud of high stun electricity that will arc, as well as gas that will actually contaminate the entire area. So imagine a build where you can have gas, electricity, viral, and corrosion. Blast and radiation, where you can knock them down, and when they get back up, they're all confused and they start fighting each other. That's what this game's damages are like. That's what this actually does for you. Your mind can go crazy, but I want to give you one interesting thing about this gun right here. the Tysis. The Tysis is the only gun in this game that can have 3 different combination of elements. You can have Blast, Corrosive, and Viral. And the reason for that is because Corrosive is the base element on the Tysis. I only have 2 status chance mods on here, and my status is already 100%. This weapon is not for damage. This weapon is for immediate, just, I want to see you just fall down and not be as strong. That's pretty much what the Tysis is good for, and what it should be used for. That is the only gun that I'm aware of, or weapon that I'm aware of, that can actually do such a thing. If it's something of, like, base electricity or base blast or something of that nature, then you can actually, manipulate it a little bit. I want to show you one build that I have with my Carrick Wraith that is just amazing. For me, anyway, I find. Hang on, let me just switch it over here. Blast and Corrosive. Hard knockdown, right? It's a hard knockdown with a permanent armor debuff for anyone that gets hit by it. And because it has near an 80% status chance with a split chamber multi-shot, every time I pull the trigger or every bullet that's flying forward, I will get that debuff or I will get that knockdown. One of the two will happen. It's amazing CC because what happens with Blast is it creates an area. It's a small AoE knockdown. So if you have a heavy gunner in the middle of a whole bunch of different enemies, you aim at the heavy gunner, all of them go down. So, as you can clearly tell, I got kind of a little bit hype right there because I love going over numbers and I love getting into the meat of things like that. It's like, yummy. But anyway, that's gonna do it for the damages. Yeah, it was that short. That's how the damages work in this game. So, if you have any questions, again, leave them in the comment section below. If you have a suggestion on what you want to see next, please let me know, and I will gladly get right on that as soon as I possibly can. But anyway, like always, this is Ittarra signing off. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you enjoyed it, if it helped you, please leave a like on the video so that way I know I'm doing a good job for you guys. And that way I can actually know you're supporting me and I can keep making these videos because I love doing it for all of you. But I hope to see you guys in the next one. Take care, be safe, and again, I hope you enjoyed this.